And we're live. Let's do this.
Intelligent Ramblings presents Intelligent College Football. Hosted by Bill Lofton, Gary Glenn, William Howington, and John Coleman.
Good evening. Welcome to Intelligent Ramblings College Football, where all we do is talk about college football and nothing else. And we'll go ahead and tell you that we are all Georgia Bulldog fans, and that's just the way it is. But we are able to talk about the rest of them. Speaking about the rest of them, before we talk about the rest of them, why don't we talk about Georgia, Florida? We thought it was going to be a tough one because Florida can be 1-9 and play Georgia, who's 9-1, and beat Georgia. And on the other end, Georgia can be 1-9 and play a 9-1 Florida team and just kick the shit out of them. It's just one of those type rivalries where we don't like them at all and they don't like us. Georgia managed to get through it 24-20. Did y'all enjoy that ball game?
Oh yeah, and gamblers coast to coast had a heart attack. Stockton took a knee.
Oh yeah, that had to stop a few hearts. Can you imagine having $10,000 on that spread and you see him running towards the end zone? He's going to get his $10,000, and all of a sudden he stops at the 1 yard line, puts his knee down.
Yeah, that thought crossed my mind. I'm afraid to say that did happen to cross my mind because I think we all picked them to beat the spread too, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
One
of our fellow JHS alumni was talking with me earlier this week, and he did lose some money when Gunnar Stockton took a knee. Nothing like the $10,000 you mentioned, Gary, but he was like Bill was saying, he had beating the spread in his sights, and then he didn't.
That sucks. But on another Georgia team, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, all thinking they all that, went up to Raleigh, and North Carolina State upset them 48-36. Did anybody watch the game? Because it was not on.
Yeah, it was on ESPN too, I think.
Oh, speaking of ESPN, I got a real message for ESPN, Disney, ABC, and YouTube TV. Got a little message for you. That's what I think about the idea that, and I've heard worse, believe me. The fact that I tuned into YouTube, was all set up and ready to go and had me a nice cold one here, and I was ready to watch the Georgia-Florida game, and I flipped it on, and it was like, where's the Georgia-Florida game? Kept sliding it, trying to find it, went down the whole row. I was starting to get excited, and, I knew what time it came on, and I was like, I'm 5 minutes early. They should have at least a picture up here saying it's next. What the hell? And I started looking. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Long story short, YouTube screwed us all, and whining about money. That they were talking about it would have to charge people more if they went with the demands that Disney and Hulu and that crew are asking. And I got thinking, and I was like, how much has these platforms, how much have they risen in price? And I keep an Excel sheet, which keeps up with my expenses, and I've had it for several years. And I went back to 2018, I think. I was paying $39.95 for Hulu. It has gone up $50 a month in the last 7 years. $50 a month is what they're charging, and they've got millions of subscribers. You know, if I didn't watch college football, I'd turn TV off and wouldn't turn it back on. I really don't need it that bad.
I find it hard to eke out a little bit of sympathy for either side. When millionaires squabble with each other, it's just, you know, I just don't get it. How much more do you need to make? How much more do you need to live? So what? You're going to be down $1 billion, but you're still profiting $5 billion. So what's the deal? I don't get it. But then I guess I'm just not that greedy.
Yeah.
Maybe if I had a whole bunch of money, I would be.
Which
is sort of counterintuitive.
I know I'm going to start something that's going to say, turn off YouTube, turn off Hulu, turn off Slinko or whatever it is, and turn them all off. And it's gotten to a point.
There is a like a week by week solution. Sling TV has a $4.99 per week subscription that you can get that will give you ABC, NBC, CBS, so you can watch the games, you know, that are blacked out by ESPN, by YouTube.
That's what I used last week.
Sling.
I finally, I started looking around and trying to find it, and I figured out it's on ABC, and I'm like, well, that's what's going on. And long story short, I did a 24-hour rental on Sling TV for $4.99.
Mm-hmm.
So, I paid $5 to watch the Georgia game, but am I going to do that 2 weeks in a row? No. I've got YouTube now, and I told my wife tonight that if this isn't resolved by Friday, that I'm dumping YouTube, and I'm thinking about doing Fubo or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've been researching it all day, and that's what I'm coming up with. I
watched the ESPN Gamecast, which is just a little it's not the game, but it follows the game, and it's just a little graphic. Who's got the ball? Where are they on the field? Is it a pass? Is it a run? And it's just like having a little graphic announcer of the game, easy to follow. And the networks have a delay of some number of seconds, but ESPN Gamecast isn't delayed. So you know the results of a play, or what the score is at the end of the quarter before anybody else does, which may come in handy if you're wanting to make money off of somebody or something like that. But anyway, it's also kind of if you're busy, if you can't watch the game, if YouTube TV is doing stupid stuff with ABC and ESPN like they are right now, then just do the Gamecast. You could also turn on the radio broadcast. There's that.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Years ago, we used to depend on the radio for game coverage. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys are all old enough to remember if you got on TV once or twice a season, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And now if you don't get on every week, it's a big deal.
I can remember, you all know that I cook for a living, and in restaurants, Saturday is a big day. So I can't tell you how many games that I listened to on the radio while I was cooking.
Yeah.
I remember, when
I would have to, when I was working for the Bulldog Network, WRFC, I would have to go to the studios and listen to the game so we could edit out the game highlights. And there's a lot of games that I just heard on the radio. We had televisions in the radio station, so if it was if it was on TV, we'd watch the broadcast and listen to Munson call the game. But there's a whole bunch of games that Georgia played. So during some of those really championship runs that I just heard on the radio, I didn't watch it on TV.
Let's see. Texas 34, Vanderbilt 31. It looked like Texas was going to blow them out. And
I
then
so wanted Vandy to win that.
I wanted Vandy to win bad. I don't like Texas. I don't like the whole state. And Vandy almost did it. But they came up a little short. SMU 26, Miami 20. That'll knock them out of the ACC championship, and they're not even rated and ranked anymore, are they?
No,
Miami.
they are. It's
Let's
real
have a
low.
Yeah, they're ranked 18th, but that they're 6-2, so they're pretty much out of the picture for the
playoffs.
Mhm.
Well, the top four are no surprise, although some people have said that Alabama's slipping in at the number 4 spot because they just released the updated playoff rankings, and Georgia comes in at number 5.
You talking about those?
I'm talking about those.
Oh, well,
So they get Alabama and Indiana and Ohio State and Texas A&M all get buys the first week. All right, as if it were to be held today.
yeah. This is a projection of as it goes right now, and got Georgia playing Memphis, Oregon playing Texas Tech, Virginia playing Ole Miss, and Notre Dame playing BYU in the first round. Would love to be playing in the. I'd like Georgia to be exactly where they're at. That would be perfect. Number 1, basically of the first round, the best team in the first round gets the worst team in the first round, and we get Memphis. It's a pretty good little ball club, but not in the
SEC league. Yeah.
not in our league. But and right now, Alabama, Ohio State, Texas A&M, and Indiana, that is, I believe, to be correct. As it sits right now, according to who they played, I think those are the top 4 teams in the country right now. Now, do I think Texas A&M ought to be 3 and Indiana be 2? No, I think Texas A&M ought to be 2 or 1. I think Texas A&M's played a lot tougher schedule than Ohio State, so I believe Texas A&M ought to be number 1, Ohio State be number 2, and Indiana be 3, and Alabama be 4. That would be my projection right now.
Sounds like a good one.
But back to Oklahoma 33, Tennessee 27. Michier looked a lot better. He was running.
He did.
He looked like the quarterback that we saw in the beginning of the season. And we're very, I was very happy to see that, seeing the fact that I was the only one out of 4 that picked Oklahoma to win. Yay, team.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, I know you're checking, John. I checked it. Believe me.
Several times he's mentioned that now.
Is there an echo in here?
With my record right now, I got to take whatever I can get because I'm at the bottom of the pile. I got my clock cleaned on the rest of them. But
well, we kind of all took our lumps last week, and
Yes,
but that's college football, and just a few plays here or there flips the other way.
But sports fans, we're still better than ESPN.
We are still better than ESPN, and there was a have this what's it called, where they take 20,000 games and they put it in a computer and it spits out the projections of who's going to win and the spread and all that stuff. And I don't know what it's called. Come on, John, tell me what it's called.
Are you thinking of ESPN Analytics?
Well, it's analytics, but I don't know if it's ESPN. But one of them, which is supposed to be the most accurate, they use 20,000 games and they throw it in their machine and it spits out who's going to win and whether or not and they also do the spread, and their 20,000 machines are right at 74 to 75%. Guess what? We're at 74 to 75%. So we're kicking ESPN's ass, and we're almost going to get a 20,020 computer, and we're just about to do that. So we're close to that. So we're all that and more, folks. Take that. And with that, why don't we take a quick commercial, and then we'll come back and do a little picking.
Sounds good.
Intelligent Ramblings is brought to you in part by Pat Williamson, a proud Dragon alumnus and a strong supporter of Jefferson athletics and academics.
And here we are. Boom. Intelligent college football picks. We need some music. Why am my music playing?
I don't know. It's all right. We can soldier on.
That's weird.
I pick better when there's no music.
Then I'm definitely going to turn it on. Bam! There we go.
Yay.
In hopes that William doesn't pick as good, because he picked pretty damn good last week. All right, y'all ready to do a game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Number 1, Ohio State at Purdue.
Ohio State at 8-0 and 5-0 in the league, and Purdue at 2-7 and 0-6. Ohio State quarterback Julian Sains got it going on. He's got a couple of the best receivers in the country, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. The rushers are not bad either, Travion Henderson and Chip Trayanum. Versus that Purdue defense, I think they're going to have a good day. Ohio State defense is solid, and the Purdue offense, well, they settle for a lot of field goals, and they turn it over a good bit. That's not good against somebody like Ohio State. Their defense is okay, but the Buckeye offense, almost 458 yards a game, and the Purdue defense gives up over 448. That ought to tell you something right there. That tells you about all you really need to know. The only team to score more than 17 versus Ohio State is Oregon, a pretty good team. Purdue has scored more than 21 only once versus major college competition. I think I've said enough about this one, guys. Ohio State wins and they cover.
Absolutely agree. I think Ohio State going to blow them out.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think it's going to be close.
No.
I've got them to win and cover, and I mean, it's going to be a 60-point game before it's over.
Yep, could be.
I don't know if it'll be that much, but I got them covering.
Number 2, Indiana at Penn State.
Well, a month ago, this would have been a marquee matchup. It sounds like a good one anyway. Number 2, Indiana. They're 9-0, 6-0 in the Big Ten. They've beaten Old Dominion, a big power. Kennesaw State, another big power. Indiana State, 73-0. Illinois, 63-10. Iowa, and they beat number 6 Oregon. They beat Michigan State, UCLA, and Maryland. Kurt Cignetti has led them to the playoffs last year. They lost to Notre Dame in the playoffs, and that was their first playoffs ever. He's 20-2, which is not too shabby in his second season. They're led by quarterback Fernando Mendoza. who's thrown for 2,124 yards and 25 touchdowns. Can you imagine that? 25 touchdowns. Rushing, Keelan Black has 96 carries for 619 yards. That's 6.4 yards an average. Anytime you got 6.4 yards an average, that's pretty darn good. And 4 touchdowns. Roman Hemby has 125 carries for 601 yards, 4.8 yards a carry, and 5 touchdowns. The offense has 22 rushing touchdowns. Receiving, Omar Cooper Jr. has 46 receptions for 669 yards and 8 touchdowns. And Elijah Sarrett has 45 catches for 669 yards and 10 touchdowns. All right. Total is 29 passing touchdowns for Indiana. Penn State, who's already fired longtime coach James Franklin after several losses, including a 22-21 loss to Northwestern. That was the stone that broke the camel's back, or the straw. Something broke the camel's back, but broke James Franklin's back as he lost his job. But I don't think he's hurting too bad. He's got about a $50 million buyout or so. They also lost a pitiful UCLA 42-37. The interim coach is Terry Smith. They're led by Drew Aller at quarterback, who has 102 completions for 1,100 yards. Rushing, Caden Allen, has 149 rushes for 688 yards and 10 touchdowns. Nick Singleton, 82 rushes for 292 yards. And receiving, DeMonte Ross has 23 receptions for 281 yards. Keaton Hudson has 20 receptions for 336 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think Indiana will cover this, although it wouldn't be too bad to pick Penn State not to cover, because they're not bad on defense. But Indiana to cover.
I agree too. I don't think it's going to even be close. Only reason it's going to be close is it's at Penn State, but I think they'll cover.
Well, we're back into our old thing about style points too, you know. Trying to set up those first round playoff things, and if you keep winning, you keep piling it on people, and people give you a little bit more consideration. Well, they beat Penn State by 30 or whatever, you know. Although Penn State's not the Penn State that started out the season, apparently.
No, they're 3-5, 0-5 in the Big Ten. Can you imagine that?
I'm trying to recall a team that crashed and burned like Penn State has this season. No one comes to mind. I'm sure there are other examples, but man, they just cratered.
They were ranked number 4 in the country.
I've got Indiana to win, but not cover. That's kind of a weird spread. They've got to do those 2 touchdowns and a field goal or a safety or something.
Mm-hmm. Or they go get 2 touchdowns and go for 2 extra conversion points on both of them.
I don't think
that would cover it.
They're going.
Possibilities are endless.
I think they beat them by 3 touchdowns. But that's just me. So I'm picking winning and covering there for the Boilermakers. For the
Hoosiers.
For Indiana. Hoosiers.
Number 3, Texas A&M at number 19, Missouri.
So this is on Saturday at 3:30 on ABC. If you get your network TV through ESPN, through YouTube TV, you'll recall what we were talking about earlier. You're going to have to find a way other than YouTube TV to be able to watch this one. ESPN Analytics gives Texas A&M a 56% chance of winning. Our coaches are Texas A&M, Mike Elko in Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz. Texas A&M is ranked 3rd in the Football Power Index, and Missouri is down at 22nd. Missouri was defeated by Vanderbilt 17-10 on Saturday, October 25th. Matt Zollers, their quarterback, threw for 138 yards. He's playing in place of the injured Bo Pribula, he of the bad-looking ankle sprain. Missouri's been struggling on offense recently. On defense, they remain really good, allowing only 242 yards per game, 5th in the FBS. Texas A&M defeated LSU 49-25 on Saturday, October 25th, and sent Brian Kelly packing. Quarterback Marcel Reed passed for 202 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He also carried the ball 108 yards and had 2 rushing touchdowns. I think these teams are more closely matched than it looks on paper. Texas A&M is undefeated, yes, but Missouri is a good team playing at home. They're well coached. Given all that, it's still not enough to overcome the undefeated Aggies, led by their talented quarterback. I've got Texas A&M to win, but will not cover the spread. I think it's going to be like a 1 to 3 point game. And if Texas A&M has the ball at the end, they win.
I'm going to go with Texas A&M as well, but I think they'll cover. I think the Missouri's biggest problem right now is their offense. They've been having quarterback issues since their number 1 quarterback went down many weeks ago, and they have been a different team since then. They've got a really good defense, but I think Texas A&M has got a elite offense, and I don't think that Missouri's going to be able to stop them. I think they'll cover plus.
I think they'll at least cover. Now all they got to do is score a touchdown, kick an extra point, and be better. That much better than the Tigers. Missouri's a good football team. They're 6-2, right? Overall, 2-2 in the SEC, and so. But Texas A&M right now they're one of the people that are they're in the top 4 seeds right now for the college football playoffs, and so they didn't get there by accident. So I think they win and they cover.
Yeah, I got them covering too. I think they're pretty good.
All right. LSU at number 4, Alabama. Alabama is a 9.5 favorite in the spread. It's going to be held at Denny Stadium at 7:30 p.m. on ABC, which once again, as John was saying, you can't get ABC if you're watching YouTube TV. So start looking around. Sling you can rent for $4.99 for a day and watch it that way. LSU 5-3, 2-3 in the SEC, who is recently alleviated of head coach Brian Kelly, will have its hands full once again, tasked with trying to get back into the win column under interim head coach Frank Wilson. The Tigers are looking to do what no other Southeastern Conference team has done so far this season, beat Alabama. The Crimson Tide, 7-1, 4-0 in the SEC, snuck past South Carolina last week, beating the Gamecocks 29-22 with signet caller Ty Simpson leading the charge. Containing an elite passer like Simpson will be one of the first things on the to-do list for the Tigers. Offensively, LSU will hope to see a comeback game from Garrett Nussmeier, who is sacked 5 times against Texas A&M last week and held to 1 touchdown and 168 yards passing. On the defensive end, LSU linebacker Whit Week, a key starter, is listed as doubtful, making a win even more questionable. This could get ugly, folks. Alabama owns the all-time rivalry with a massive 52-25 advantage, and LSU has only pulled off 2 victories since 2011. I am doubtful if they will pull one off this year either. Alabama will win and cover.
They're playing at home. Alabama's really, they had a not so great start, but they are really rolling right now, and the roll tide, right? So there you go.
Roll
I think
Tide.
they win. I think they probably cover that. LSU is
Yeah, I
struggling.
think they're covered. Alabama to win and cover.
I'm the same. I've got Alabama to win and cover. There's like 3 teams, LSU, Penn State. There's another one out there. I can't.
Florida State.
Florida State, that have just collapsed this season.
Clemson.
Clemson. Well, maybe there's more than 3. Maybe it's like 5 or 6, but that have just fallen by the wayside. And LSU's one of those teams now, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had some problems last year, and if it hadn't been for the buyout, they would probably have fired him last year. But they decided to hang on, give him one more shot, but they're going to wind up paying him off anyway. So there you go.
Number 5, Georgia Bulldogs at Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight. The Bulldogs going to win on Saturday, one way or the other. Georgia at 7-1, 5-1 in the SEC, and the Maroon Bulldogs at 5-4 and 1-4. Georgia leads the all-time series 21-6. Last year in Athens, it was 41-31 dogs, our dogs. Mississippi State won in Starkville 15 years ago. They don't play each other that often. I mean, it's only been it's a 27 game series, so not like Georgia played Mississippi State every year. When they have played, Georgia has mostly won. Your matchups: the offense for Georgia is the 7th in the SEC. They average about 420 yards a game. State is 9th with 408. The scoring, well, it's in favor of Mississippi State by just a fraction, 33.2 to 32.5. The passing, Mississippi State is a little better than our Bulldogs at 250 to 235 yards a game. Rush, Georgia's got the edge at 184 versus 158. Scoring, well, as I said in favor of the Maroon Bulldogs. Defense, Georgia allows about 309 yards a game total, and State about 364. And as far as statistically, you can see that they're pretty close. Passing, State leads 207 to 215. Rush, Georgia on the defense, they only give up about 44 yards a game to 162 for Mississippi State. And scoring, Georgia gives up about 19 a game, and Mississippi State gives up about 24 a game, or 24-25. So again, statistically, pretty close. But Georgia, as Kirby Smart has said, is hard to kill. You think they're down, they're out of it, and all of a sudden they keep coming back. I think the kids at Georgia call it, they just keep chopping that wood. The quarterback matchups, interesting. The Maroon quarterback's averaging about, he's got a total yards of 2,148 yards a game. Gunnar Stockton is 1,776, which just sounds like a very good patriotic number. The leading rusher for the Maroon Bulldogs, he makes the all-name team, Bluff Bockwell, with 490 yards. Receiver Brennan Thompson's got 710. Chauncey Bowers leads the Georgia rushers with 446. Zachariah Branch with 474 on the receiving. As far as the defense, Jaron Manning, 64 tackles for the State Bulldogs. And Brylan Lanier with 3 interceptions. Georgia, their leading tackler is C.J. Allen, who I think is under consideration for the Butkus Award for the nation's best linebacker. He's got 64 tackles. And Ellis Robinson, the safety, has got 2 picks. Georgia, an 8.5-point favorite. And I think despite the statistical closeness, Georgia has shown the tendency to win. Unless Gunner decides to take another knee, Georgia wins and covers in this one.
I think Georgia wins, but they don't cover.
Hey, Davey Bell. Thanks for you and friend for chiming in on us. Always enjoy it when we have folks that give us some little taste of what y'all think about what's going on too. I got some dog fans out there. I'm gonna go with Georgia, obviously, and to cover. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be a tough game because Mississippi, they're gonna have to be listening to them damn cowbells the whole game, and that's got to have some effect on you. But that's about it.
I've got Georgia, and at the moment, I've got them to cover. But after last week, I'm kind of wondering if I need to change that. But right now, I've got Georgia and to cover.
Well, surely to goodness, they're going to get out to a better start than they have been in some of these games. And if they put your foot down on the pedal and keep it to the floor, then they're going to cover. If they decide to mess around again, they might not. I still think they win, but Georgia is going to have to start impressing some people. You can't keep winning by 3 or 4 points in major college football and have people regard you as national championship material. More cowbell, Francis. I recognize the illusion.
Yes, more cowbells. That's what'll make it sound good. More cowbells. I really don't like cowbells.
No.
Number 6, Oregon at Iowa.
Well, this one is at Iowa, 3:30 on CBS. Two good football teams. Oregon is 7-1, 4-1 in the conference. Their only loss was to Indiana, 30-20. They're coached by former Georgia assistant coach Dan Lanning. Lanning is 39 years old, and he has a 42-7 record, which is not too shabby. They're led by quarterback Dante Moore with 145 completions for 1,772 yards, 19 touchdowns for him. Rushing, Noah Whittington has 51 carries for 433 yards. Gary Hill has 36 carries for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Jordan Davison has 51 carries for 332 yards and 10 touchdowns. So they spread the ball around pretty good there on the ground. And they throw the ball real well, too. Receiving, DeCorian Moore has 78 catches for 443 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kenyon Sadiq has 22 catches for 391 yards and 5 touchdowns. Oregon has become a perennial power under Lanning, and they weren't too bad under previous coaches. Iowa is 6-2 and 4-1 in the conference, and they're coached by Kirk Ferentz. Led at quarterback by Mark Gronowski. He's thrown 107 completions for 946 yards and 4 touchdowns. Rushing, Kamari Moulton has 82 rushes for 435 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the quarterback, Gronowski, has 76 rushes for 313 yards and 11 touchdowns. So Iowa is obviously a running football team. Receiving, Phillips only has 12 catches for 204 yards and no touchdowns. Jacob Gill, 15 receptions for 150 yards and no touchdowns. They only have 5 total receiving touchdowns. Iowa is definitely a running team. And I think Oregon will win this one and certainly cover the point spread. What did I say? Iowa? Oregon.
Nobody really knows.
This is gonna be. I'm going out on this limb here. This is gonna be my upset.
Special of the week. They're playing at Iowa. Iowa's a good football team. They're scrapping for some respectability in the court of public opinion. So I pick Iowa, and of course not to cover since Oregon is favored in this one, but we'll see.
I tend to agree with you, Gary. I like Iowa in this. It's at like you said, it's at Iowa. Yeah, well, right. So I'm thinking Iowa, but I don't know if I'll actually pick them.
Well, like I said, I'm going out on this limb. This is my one to take a shot at here. This one, and the Hawkeyes, they're at home, and so, and they are a good football team. You know, they've only lost one in the conference, right?
Yeah, they're 4-1.
Right.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, they got a shot, particularly at home. They'll be fired up. They're playing the number 6 team in the country. Iowa figures maybe we should be ranked somewhere in the top 25, but they're not. So let's see what happens. Of course, Oregon could have a great day and blow them out, but we'll see.
I think Oregon's going to have a great day and not blow them out. So I've got Oregon, but they will not cover.
We got all kind of
So
stuff
it's-
going on there.
That's 2 for Iowa and 2 for the Ducks. Okay.
The Citadel at number 7, Ole Miss.
Ooh, baby.
Man, God, I'd hate to.
Who picks these
This
games?
is this is
I
the
don't know.
payday.
I don't know who picks these games, but geez,
It is a payday game, Gary. The Citadel is at number 7, Ole Miss, 1 p.m. on the SEC network for also rans. ESPN Analytics gives Ole Miss a 99% chance of winning. Our coaches are for the Citadel Bulldogs, Maurice Drayton. Ole Miss is coached by Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss comes in at 13 in the Football Power Index. The Citadel does not have a place in the Football Power Index. The Citadel
They're not even an
Bulldogs
FBS
have 4
conference.
guys on the entire team weighing more than 300 pounds. By contrast, Ole Miss has 13 300-pounders. So if you're going by BMI, Ole Miss has a clear advantage. Bulldogs head coach played for the Citadel and was on the coaching staff from 1999 through 2005. After leaving the Citadel, he coached at the high school and small college level. He also coached in the NFL from 2016 to 2022 at the Las Vegas Raiders, the Green Bay Packers, and the Indianapolis Colts. He returned to the Citadel as head coach in 2023. The Citadel is in the Southern Conference, and they're 4-5 overall this season. This game is the lock of the week. It is such a mismatch that the odds makers don't give it a spread. If there was a spread, it might be Ole Miss minus 41.5. Ole Miss will probably have 42 points by halftime, and the final might be something like 56-7. So obviously, I've got Ole Miss to win. There is no spread, so you can't. At this point, we can't pick a spread for this game.
Yeah. Well, I agree with all of that.
Yeah,
I
the
do
Rebels.
too.
The Rebels could probably suit up 9 and win this one.
No, it won't be that bad.
Well, I don't know. I think you're right. I think they could suit up 8 and win. The Citadel's 4-5 in the Southern Conference, which is not a very good conference at all. I understand that. I understand. I've seen the Citadel play. When my older brother played for VMI, they used to play Citadel every year, and so I know what kind of competition is in the Southern Conference, and it's real close to the bottom, the barrel when it comes to conferences. in football. So I think it could be one of the, and Lane Kiffin has no mercy. So
No, he does not.
So it could be a 76-7 kind of thing, or 76-0. I mean,
Well, if you're the Citadel, you hope you go into this one, you get your payday, and not get anybody hurt. That's what you hope for right here. Get some exposure by playing a top tier program, a premier football conference in the country in the SEC. You'll be playing at their place, so there'll be a lot of people there hollering and screaming, and it'll be a happy night at the Grove for the Rebels.
Yeah, I think this could be a good game for Ole Miss in that they will hopefully not have either team gets through the first half without anybody getting hurt, and Ole Miss is ahead with 42 points at halftime. So they run the 2s and the 3s out there to play the second half. I hope something like that goes on. It's the next best thing to having a bye on your schedule.
but it's good for those kids at the Citadel to see what it's like in big time football.
You ever
They'll
been by
enjoy
the
it.
Citadel? It's a beautiful campus. Got really neat stuff there. Yeah. And our good friend Paul White went to the Citadel, wrestled for him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
BYU number 8, 8-0 at Texas Tech, 8-1. And number 9, Texas Tech has an 8.5 point on the spread. This is going to be played at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock at 12 p.m. on ABC. So once again, better have something lined up if you want to watch this game, if you're a YouTube people. Unbeaten BYU's trek to Lubbock to battle Texas Tech is a heavyweight showdown in the Big 12 that determines the league's playoff frontrunner down the stretch. BYU is good. The Cougars are also fortunate to be unbeaten given how they squeaked out wins. BYU eked out 3-point wins over Colorado and Utah, while Texas Tech beat Utah by 24. The Red Raiders have been dominant in the 7 games quarterback Behren Morton has started. No team has been within 20 points that Morton has started. Morton has 1,750 yards, 15 TDs, and with 4 interceptions, with a 68.7 quarterback rating. But then again, the BYU quarterback, and Gary, here's a name for the week for you, Bear Bachmeier, has thrown for 1,693 yards, 11 TD, with 3 interceptions and a QBR of 78.9. But he's done this in 8 games. This should be the game of the week. And I'm going with the Red Raiders.
The Red Raiders.
Yeah, Red Raiders. How the hell did I read that like that? I'm going with the Red Raiders, but not to cover.
I agree with you, Bill. I think BYU is going to be fired up.
And they got something they want to prove. Then they're rated number 8 in the country, and Texas Tech number 9. I think the Red Raiders win, but I don't think they cover. I think BYU will be close. I think they'll be within a touchdown.
I agree with Gary. I think Texas Tech will win, but it'll be close.
I think I'm going out on a limb, as Gary has done earlier tonight, and say that BYU wins this game. I think they're going to be, like Bill was talking about, they're going to be squeaking and eking, whatever it takes to win. So I've got BYU to win.
That's not a bad one to pick. I thought about it myself.
It's going to be close. Navy at number 10, Notre Dame.
This is an intriguing matchup here, mainly because of the records that are involved. Navy is 7-1 overall and 5-1 in their league. Notre Dame, of course, is an independent 6-2. Navy is coached by Brian Newberry, and you got Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. And Notre Dame has put it together after a somewhat shaky start. But, the losses, if such a thing can be said, they were quality losses. And when you look at them on the stat sheet, and I know, liars figures lie, whatever you want to say, but sometimes football stats give you a pretty good picture. Rushing and passing are strong for Notre Dame, as is their defense, especially the defense. The rushing is stronger than their passing attack. And Notre Dame is a rhythm team. If they get into a rhythm, if they get something going on, they keep rolling on that with that momentum, they're tough to beat. Navy does force a lot of turnovers, and the midshipmen are good in the field position battle, and Navy runs the ball well, but the Irish defend the run well. Although Navy's triple option may pose a challenge early on. Of course, you and I and the rest of the guys, we played the triple option. We played in the triple option when Bill's dad ran it at Jefferson, when it's called the Veer. And it's assignment football. And Notre Dame's a smart football team. I think they figured that out. I think they're disciplined enough to figure it out. Navy has struggled on third downs against teams in the FBS. They have a very strong defensive front to the Irish, and I think Notre Dame eventually wears down the midshipmen. Notre Dame will look to start fast, and if Notre Dame starts fast, they will win and they will cover. I know I'm hedging my bets a little bit there, but I think if Notre Dame gets off to a quick start, they win it and they cover.
I got Notre Dame winning, but not cover.
I'm going to agree with William. I think Notre Dame will win, but will not cover. I think Navy will stick them to them.
Let's make that 3 in a row. I don't see how Notre Dame is going to cover against a team like Navy. It's hard to get the ball back from Navy, so you're going to have a reduced number of possessions, and trips up the whole rhythm thing that Gary was talking about. Notre Dame wins, but I don't think they cover.
Wake Forest at number 12, surprisingly, Virginia.
Yeah, surprisingly, Virginia is ranked. Right now, they lead the ACC in record. Wake Forest is coached by Jake Dickert, first year. He's 42 years old, 5-3 overall and 2-3 in the ACC. They lost in overtime to Georgia Tech, 30-29, but they won by 1 against SMU. So we're not talking about a weak sister here. Wake Forest is a pretty good football team. They're led by quarterback Robbie Ashford, who's thrown 107 completions for 1,298 yards and 3 touchdowns. Rushing, Damon Claiborne has 106 rushes for 639 yards and 3 touchdowns. Quarterback Ashford has 71 rushes for 287 yards and 4 touchdowns. So Wake Forest can run the football from the quarterback spot. Receiving, Chris Barnes is 32 receptions for 492 yards and 3 touchdowns. Sterling Burkhalter has 19 receptions for 296 yards and a touchdown. Virginia, who is obviously a surprise team this year, coached by Tony Elliott, they're 8-1, and the only loss was 35-31 to North Carolina State. North Carolina State has been known to upset some people this year. That was back on September the 6th. They're led at quarterback by Chandler Morris, who's thrown 189 completions for 2,069 yards and 12 TDs. Rushing, Jamari Taylor is 150 rushes for 686 yards and 11 touchdowns. Harrison Whaley has 53 rushes for 304 yards and 8 touchdowns. Receiving, Trey Harris has 37 receptions for 545 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jamal Edrin has 34 catches for 425 yards and a touchdown. And Cam Ross, 33 catches for 388 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wake Forest is a good 5-3 football team. But Virginia is also good. But I'm going with the upset this week, Wake Forest over Virginia. Sorry, Virginia.
Well, I'm going to go with Virginia because I used to live in Virginia, and that's the only reason.
I'm going in with Virginia because of their record in the ACC.
If I'm looking at my sheet correctly here, Virginia's 5-0 in the league, and Wake Forest has struggled at 2-3. Plus, it's at Virginia, so I think the Cavaliers win and they cover.
I'm in agreement, Gary. I'm going with Virginia to cover. I think Wake Forest is. I can't see them having 3 upsets this season. 2 is good. They're it's like put a ribbon on the season for them. It's been good as far as that goes, but I've got Virginia to cover, to win and cover.
Yeah, I'm agreement. Other than the fact that I used to live in Virginia, I think that the record states it all, and I definitely think they will cover. Auburn at number 12, Vanderbilt.
So Auburn at number 16, Vanderbilt. Saturday, 4 p.m., a weird starting time on the SEC network. ESPN Analytics gives Vanderbilt a 71% chance of winning. Our coaches are for Auburn, DJ Durkin, which I didn't know until this evening when I was researching this. And Vanderbilt is coached by Clark Lee. Vanderbilt is at 17th in the Football Power Index, and Auburn comes in at 27th. Auburn is 4-5 overall and 1-5 in the SEC. They have to be discouraged after getting this far into the season with very limited success, and now they've lost their head coach. I'm not saying Hugh Freeze will be missed, but the players have to be way more focused on lining up in the portal and securing whatever NIL they can get wherever they land. They're going to Nashville to play Vandy, who lost a close game to Texas last week. I think Vandy's motivated to keep their 1-loss record in good shape, and Auburn is just looking at closing out the season the fastest, best way they can. So I think Vanderbilt wins and covers the spread.
I'm in agreement with John. I think Vandy's going to cover, and I think they may put it on them. Kind of hope they do.
Yeah, we know what a big Auburn fan you are.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll have to go with Vanderbilt, although I think Auburn's capable of beating them. This would be a good one to pick an upset special. But I guess I'll go with Vanderbilt since they already went out on a limb with Wake Forest. I can't go out on 2 limbs. My weight wouldn't hold it.
All right.
It's the 2-limb theory of upset football.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Only
Yes.
here on Intelligent Ramblings College Football.
No doubt.
That's right. Remember that. Remember that, folks, when you're picking your picks. No 2 limbs. Just one.
Florida State at Clemson. Clemson has a 2.5 point spread advantage or pick. This is the game of thought they could versus the what the fuck happened here. FSU started out on fire by giving the wood to Alabama, and it wasn't close. So they started thinking, wow, FSU is back. But after 3 wins in a row, they lost 4 in a row. Maybe next year. Well, now for the what the fuck happened. Clemson started out with a loss to supposedly good LSU. Then barely beat Troy. They had to come back. I think they had like a 15-point lead they were behind. But they came back and beat Troy. But then they lost to ACC foes Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Then they beat the pants off of North Carolina and Boston College, the bottom of the ACC, to come back to 2 more losses to SMU and Duke. Pretty sad for a team ranked in the top 5 in the beginning of the season. This is Clemson's worst season in 15 years. Dabo Swinney, the coach of the Tigers, said he had 11 championships in 14 years, and he said he is pissed about the season too. He believes he has gotten away from his instincts, and this season is a comma, not a period. Well, personally, I believe Dabo will right the ship, and a win at home against FSU would be a good start. Clemson wins and will cover.
Yeah, I think at home.
Clemson wins and covers. Especially it's only 2.5 points. That's just a field goal.
Surely Clemson wins and covers.
Surely. That's what we said about Duke. That's what we said about SMU.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
you know,
but don't call me Shirley.
don't call me Shirley.
All
I've
right.
got Clemson to win and cover, and I think Gary's right. I think it's going to be by a stumbling, bumbling field goal kind of victory. Did y'all see Dabo, his press conference this week? I can't remember what day it was.
Yeah, I
Might have
watched
been
it.
yesterday.
I didn't, but he always gives an entertaining press conference.
He is entertaining, and he said this season is more the coach's fault than the players' fault. He said, of course, the players have to go out and execute the plan, but the coaches have to get them ready. And he said Dabo said he was himself at fault, and said the assistant coaches are in this too. And so, man,
What a fall from grace.
Yeah, you got to be careful, Coach, when you say things like that out loud, because some people might start to believe you. And sometimes those people are the ones that control the purse strings and the power. Although there is something to be said for that. You know, come on, guys. We're talking people who get paid thousands and thousands of dollars, if sometimes not millions of dollars, to evaluate this talent nationwide. I don't understand why there's not more parity here, and particularly when you go to the next level of the NFL. When you get to that league, when you get to that point, you know, let me back off. In high school football, it's you got 5 or 6, maybe 7 players on the team, offense and defense, that can really turn the tide. You know, as I said, great players make great coaches, and I believe that's really true in high school. Although the coach has something to do with it, as far as motivation and stuff like that. Once you get to college, you got a whole bunch of people who are really big and really strong and really fast. And it is up to the coaches and the assistant coaches to put that together into a coherent whole and go up against the other guy who also has, as the great Dan McGill once said, they also have scholarship athletes who are also big and strong and fast. So I don't understand sometimes why this happens, but it just does.
All right. Let's go
Thank
to
you
a
for the
quick
Dan
commercial.
McGill.
McGill
Well,
was
we
something
enjoy it,
else.
Gary.
We always enjoy those. Let's do a quick commercial, and then we'll come back for our synopsis of the week.
You also don't get a
Now, if you'll notice, there's some pretty good articles there in our spread shop that you ought to look at. The coffee cups are really nice, and they're premium quality, as are all the t-shirts and sweatshirts. You can actually get a zip-up sweatshirt and put a logo right there. We got a really cool logo. You can see it up there at the top right of the screen, and that goes on everything. Or that right. You can put it on anything. Hey, if you want a shower curtain with a Intelligent Ramblings logo on it, you can have it. And it's not just the logo. It also says, I'm so cool. I'm so old. I have intelligent ramblings. See, I'm old, so I'm intelligent. I'm rambling. Anyway, check out our spread shop and see what you think. And Christmas is coming up, so that's something that you can really think about. And we're also entertaining the idea of sponsors, and you can contact us at intelligentramblings@gmail.com for that. The high school football season is on a slight hiatus. Gary, tell us about that.
Well, they decided
To take a break between the end of the regular season and the start of the football playoffs. And you understand now the way they have structured this now is not the old way that they used to do it back in our day. You had to win the region to even qualify for the playoffs. And then they took the top couple of this top four. And then they decided, well, that didn't really work because you had some regions that only had four, and it didn't matter if you lost every game, you still qualified for the playoffs. So now they do the power ratings, and it depends on record and strength of schedule. A whole bunch of different things go into how they figure that out. And we got a lot of teams in Northeast Georgia that are still alive in the power rankings and will be playing one another. And that will be a week from Friday night when the playoffs resume. And you usually try to match up the top teams against the people who are not so good, even in the power rankings, to preserve the fact that the best teams go forward and eventually will wind up playing in Mercedes-Benz for the state championships in December.
But I'll tell you, the one I'm interested more than any of them is Jackson County. They've had a long time, but those Panthers have got it going on this year, and they should be proud of that.
Yeah, that's the first region football championship in school history.
Yeah, so
and they won it. And they did it convincingly. I think the only loss was to Jefferson, isn't that right?
Yep. That's the only one they lost. And in the region game, they played Habersham Central and beat the crap out of them. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, crushed them. So they're going to qualify. They'll have a good playoff seeding, and we'll see how it all plays out. But we got a number. Jefferson's alive, North Hall's alive, Cherokee Bluff. Trying to think who else is. Gainesville is still alive. And some of those will be among the top seeds too. In fact, if they arrange the brackets correctly, you might have Jefferson wind up playing North Hall if they make it to the state championship game. But that's a big if. And you got to have some talent. You got to have some luck once you get into the state playoffs. And again, it's about matchups.
Jefferson opens up with Darty at home, and as long as they keep winning, they'll play at home until the Dome or the Mercedes-Benz at the Dome.
Same thing with North Hall. I think they play Mount Zion of Jonesboro, something like that. That's a team that's won like 4 games. So you can still qualify, provided the strength of the power ratings. So it makes the power rankings the kind of the be all and end all, but you still, you want the best teams. People have got a legitimate shot this time of year. You want the best teams to keep playing football. And I agree with it on that principle.
That's pretty much it for Intelligent Ramblings and their intelligent football. And if you want to be intelligent, like I said, go to our spread shop, find yourself something, wear around, and people look at you and go, wow, where'd you get that? So, hope everybody has a good week, and go Dogs.
Yeah, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
I'll be refereeing the wrestling
tournament. Thank you for watching, everybody that looks at us on YouTube, Facebook later in the week. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.